consider that not long before these four were born, many children in South Wales worked in coal mines. This really is the other extreme. Now the children, Lady Margaret Crichton Stewart, she was born on Christmas Eve in 1875. John, the Earl of Dumfries and future 4th Marquis, 1881. Lord Ninian Crichton Stewart, 1883. And Lord Colum Crichton Stewart in 1886. Well, a typical day here, lessons in the morning with their governess. Now, her name was Anne Roberts. There was a nurse, Catherine Ramsay, and 2 nursemaids who, apart from general duties, were ordered to speak to the children in their own languages. So Lucy Anne Chaumet spoke only in French, and Jones only in Welsh. And Lord Bute encouraged it. With varying degrees of fluency, he could find his way around 21 languages. He was also learned in history, theology, literature, heraldry, and the classics. And by his own admission, useless at maths, but then he was an arts man and a scientist. It left the Victorian part of the building through a radically altered 18th century wing. Now we're into the original house, and externally here the walls date from around about 1420. And in the 16th century, this area was described as being richly furnished and hung with tapestry of the royal Stuart line. The paintings then start on the north wall and go right away around. Got to this point about 140 years ago, we'd now be standing on the roof of that wing, from this floor up, and the spiral staircase added on in the late 19th century. Now this is called Lord Bute's bedroom. The reality is he never really slept here. There was a much bigger room downstairs with 4 posters he was down there. So this was really a dressing room and a bathroom. Nothing very special about the bed. In fact, Victorian photographs show a different one there anyway. Now the original coverlet to this, designed by Burgess in the 1870s, is very frail. It rarely, if ever, leaves the archive. A group of ladies, though, from the Malvern Hills Decorative and Fine Arts Society spent 3 years colour matching, sourcing the materials, and created this. An exact copy, even down to the weight, it's identical. A Madonna and Child, okay? It's a medieval French design. The print that stood on here, this is Scottish granite. Seen from above, the layout of the rain guttering and fountain form a Celtic cross. The room itself was inspired by a visit to Pompeii. The bronze flower boxes are copies of Roman charcoal burners. The photographs of the time show these filled with earth, out of which would have grown such flowers as camellias and azaleas. A semicircle of pots around the fountain with small shrubs. There were miniature fruit trees there. So designed not as a pool, as it first looks, but as a garden. Was used only by Lord and Lady Bute, and the 3 angels here are bringing the prophecy to Abraham and Sarah that despite the fact that they were of advanced years, particularly in Sarah's case, that she was going to have a child and she didn't believe it. It says in the scriptures Sarah laughed, and that's what the stone garden's got her doing there, laughing behind her hand. But the end result of that account, the birth of Isaac, it also says that when these 3 appeared, Abraham didn't realise who they were, they just appeared as travellers. So the New Testament Greek translates that some entertain angels unawares, and then scenes from Abraham's life in the stained glass. Now, the bookcases were made by a very upmarket firm in Britain in the 19th century. The walls are of tulip wood and ebony, and the shelves Californian marble. Now, beyond this bookcase here, to be able to see this, the stripe is good. This is the fireplace of the ancient tongues. So here we have Greek, Assyria, an ancient empire, well, Iraq and Iran are now roughly in the area that Assyria was. Okay, so Iraq and Iran, that's roughly Assyria. Aramaic, now, language spoken around the Galilee area. Jesus Christ and his disciples walked in today and started writing. They're writing, look a little bit like that. Then we've got hieroglyph on the end and runic at the end of there. Well, there were coal fires throughout the house and in the towers, of course. We've got a lot of greenery there at the moment. And that was the other thing about Christmas. Before they had Christmas trees, this is exactly what people did in their houses. They'd bring in greenery and, excuse me, they decided to give it away. And so what they did, they gave it as a gift to the people of Cardiff. So on the 10th of September 1947, at around about 12:30, the 5th mark was subdued. The main gate in the ceremony handed over the key and the mace to the Lord Mayor of Cardiff, who in receiving those, received the castle and remaining lands on behalf of the people who live here. So since 1947, this has been owned by the people of Cardiff, operated by the City Council. And from 1949 to 1977, this was the original home of what is now the Royal Welsh College.